Okay, it's preparing. That might, yes. Oh, wait for it to start. Okay, good evening, everybody. It's really nice to see you on the first Wisdom Entrepreneurs of 2020. Yay! Derrick and Wilson will be your hosts this evening. I will hang around for a little while. Unfortunately, I'm double booked, so I'll have to disappear for a while, but I will come back as soon as my other meeting's finished. I was really excited to be on here. And I thought we could start with a little reading, a little moment to bring us all into the room and just get ourselves settled right here. So if you are ready, get yourself nice and comfortable. And if it's comfortable for you, put your feet on the floor, rest your hands in your lap, and lower your gaze or close your eyes. It's just really nice for a moment to take a couple of deep healing breaths. And just bring us to this present moment, to this safe place. where we'll spend the next hour or so together, just enjoying the connection between us. There's nothing really to do here, and there's nothing really that has to be said. Just speak if the spirit guides you, if you feel moved to. I'm going to read a page from The Missing Link by Sydney Banks. A couple of pages. Let the words flow over you if you haven't heard them before. You don't have to understand their meaning. Just see what comes up for you, what resonates. The chapter's called Living in the Now. Through the centuries, the wise have told us to live in the now. This is why I say to you, the past is a ghost that cannot be held in the palm of your hand. The future cannot be grasped, no matter how desirable or enticing it may appear. Nor can the present be held, no matter how beautiful or exciting. Begin the process of nourishing the soul by living in the now. Forget the past and the future and just be. When the Eastern mystics describe the now, they're not talking about today as a specific day of the month and year. Their meaning goes deeper. When such people refer to the now, they mean the personal mind is free from the contaminants of yesterday's memories and fears. This in turn frees the mind to see with clarity things as they are, not through distorted memories and apprehensions. Living in the now requires a clear mind. In clearing our minds, we may have to give up something to receive something. If you wanted to replace a glass of stale wine with fresh wine, first you must pour out the old wine. It's the same with clearing our minds of unwanted, stale thoughts. Let's take a moment to let those words sink in. And to bring us now to this fresh experience of now. And see what we can see as this evening unfolds. And when you're ready, bring yourself back into the room.
Yeah, that was nice, Mama J. Hello, everybody. That was nice, Mama J. I've heard that so many times, yeah. But you see what I just heard in it now was sort of fresh. It's like the bit where he says about clearing your mind of stale thought. I just used to think, you know, with a thought analogy, and you latch onto whatever thought flows by. And if you clear your mind of that, then you're ready for a new, fresh thought. But I saw it in a way, you know, like when with addiction, like with my addiction for cannabis, I thought I had to do something for it to tackle it. But when I reached a certain level of consciousness, that desire just went away. So then it's not like you're replacing the old thoughts subconsciously. So that whole theory of me needing to smoke just disappeared without me doing any work, and it was just replaced with something else. Whatever, because I don't even, there's nothing that's replaced it. It's not like I've replaced it for something else. Whatever thoughts leave me freer to probably be with my family or appreciate my family or appreciate things in life more. That's what I feel that space with after taking out those stale, they could be like habitual thinking or stale residual thinking, something that you really believe about yourself and there's no work to be done to get rid of it. And it just replaces it with other thoughts. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I love that you don't have to do anything to have fresh thought, that it's always flowing. And what I heard from that and from what you were saying is that, but sometimes we're so like in the mud of that stale thought, and we sort of flail around there a little bit. We hold on to it. It's like when we let go of it, it just goes. It just gets replaced with that fresh current. But when we flail around, we stay there, don't we? And we stir it up a bit more and a bit more, and it looks like it's stuck. It's never really stuck.
And it comes back, since I've seen that thing we say about resistance, it's that same thing. It's like when you're stuck in quicksand, the more resistance you put up, the more deeper you get sucked in. And it's a resistance to everything. It's more of an acceptance. When you accept certain things and just know that that's the flow, then it makes it so much easier. It's like that poem about letting certain things in and just having a cup of tea with them, whatever emotion is, just let it in, have a cup of tea with it, sit down, but you know it's going to leave. You know it's going to leave. Was you going to say something, Flick?
Yeah, I was actually about to put in the chat. It reminds me, I don't know if this is the poem you mean, but it reminds me of Rumi's Guest House.
Yeah.
Is that the poem you mean?
Yeah, spot
yeah,
on.
I'll post it because it's beautiful. And then everyone can read it. Yeah, it's really nice.
It's really nice to hear if what I really like about what Derrick was saying is that came fresh to him in that moment. You know, like you said, like you've read that so many times, or you've heard that chapter, that page so many times, and yet each time it can take you to a different level, or you can hear something different. And I really love that we can do that. We can just listen deeply and hear what's resonating right now in this fresh moment. I'm going to leave you with it, Derrick.
Sorry?
I'm going to leave you with it.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, and that freshness, that's always there. That's always available for us. Always. When talking about like you're flailing around in a situation and you're thinking there's no options anywhere else, but there's always other options. There's always something available to us. And for me, I saw that in just by giving myself a little bit of space in the moment and being present. Because when for me, when I become present, all of the thinking drops away. And then somehow you realize that everything that you was wondering or pondering on or stressing about before was involved with that thinking. So when that thinking drops away, all of the feelings drop away as well. And like the first time I done that, it was like a powerful thing for me. Because like I told the story before, I'm a man, I usually get on the train and I'm usually got my head down thinking everyone's looking at me or everyone's thinking me and I'm this or I'm that, is this right, is that? But the first time I was present on the underground, I looked up and I was looking around at everybody and I realized nobody was looking at me. Nobody was judging me. I was probably the only one looking around, looking in everybody's face. And I just felt all of that just dropped. It just dropped away in a moment. And I felt like, I'm meant to be here sort of thing. It was a funny sort of feeling. But all of that came from just being present. And yeah, it's just, in an instant, one thought takes you from being present. And then before you know it, you're in a storm of your own making just through your thinking. Does that resonate with people?
I was gonna add, hey everybody, I was gonna add, I love the way that we, the mind kind of innocently wants to fix things. So we innocently feel we have to do things to fix our situation or to feel better or to make somebody else feel better. And it's just within being present, you find all of those answers. And being present you don't have to do much. You just have to accept that now is the only moment that exists. And you can have any thought you want about it. And it kind of came to me when, exactly like Derrick was saying, I know how I innocently create certain thoughts and I believe them. And when I realize it's innocent, I don't beat myself up anymore about it. I kind of just pat on the back. And then I know where I was. So I was walking and I looked at a lot of people and it was just, for me, it was an amazing moment because I realized everything I do and how I create, everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's living their own version of Earth. And there's millions of versions of Earth. And everybody has innocently got their own version and everybody innocently follows that. Not realizing that we're all doing the same thing. We're all just looking for peace and love for us and everybody around us. And that's the ultimate goal. That's what we're all looking for. But with learned behavior, I call it learned behavior of past years and how we grew up, we kind of have to do things. That's how I feel like that's how I grew up. You have to do this, do that, get this education, get this, do that, and get a certain degree to be able to do certain things. So I always believe that. But not believing that system, I feel freer than anything, if that makes sense, because I'm more present. So if I was to talk to a doctor or a top scientist, I would just be present, understanding that I'm talking to a human, and I would be able to talk, where before I would have had a lot of thinking. I have to talk a bit higher of myself. I have to dress a certain way. I have to, and all that is innocent because I'm just looking for peace and love and maybe acceptance from this person. But with being present, none of that thinking matters. And you just experience everything in the now. So that's what I loved about what Derrick was saying, because it's all just innocent.
That's beautiful, Omar, because you just open it back up now, back to the innocence. Because when certain times I've been present, and let's say I've been in a heated argument with my partner, and whereas before I would have been at it with her toe to toe, but with this understanding, I can be present, and the situation then becomes funny to me because I can see myself in her. I can see her thinking cogs just turning over, driving in overdrive. But because I'm present, I know that it's all done innocently because I was where she was. One stage, worried my head up in my thoughts. But to see her doing that, or to see other people doing that, you know it's all done innocently. So you can see yourself in it. And like you said, it's not just her, it's every single person on this planet has their own little reality, what they operate within. And like you said, we all look for cues. When somebody says they're hurt or a friend is in a certain, we look to try to solve, we look to try to help. And sometimes it's not to try to look and help. Sometimes it's just to be present. It's just to be present. And the same with ourselves. Sometimes we look and we think there's things to be done, but there's nothing to be done. It's just to be present and listen to yourself. Because when you say listen to yourself, the wisdom that comes to you when you clear your mind of certain thinking and there's that space, the voice that comes in, that's you talking, that's your wisdom talking to you. And like I said before, it's not always clear and it's not always specific, but it points you in a certain direction. And with that direction comes a feeling, that secure feeling that you know that you're doing the right thing. And I think for me, that's a big guidance, because a lot of the stuff I was doing when I first got this understanding, if it never had that good feeling running behind it, then I don't think I would have bought into it. But it's that natural good feeling where from your core, you just know you're doing the right thing, you're on the right track. And for me on my journey, it's been a big discovery of finding myself and searching and finding myself and getting a glimpse and having that feeling and just following that feeling has led me here to talk to you guys today, which is something that I would have thought 3 years ago is way out of my comfort zone. Yeah, that's way above my pay grade. I don't do that stuff. But limited by my own thinking, lo and behold, I'm here now. But yeah, just for me, it's that feeling, that truth, and it boils down to truth.
I wanted to say, like, there was one thing that blew my mind, right? And Mama J told me one day, and she didn't even tell me, I'm lying. She said it in a group. And you know me, I'm meant to be the facilitator or whatever, and I'm blown away, like, and it was crazy. Do you know what I mean? That's why I never put myself on that pedestal anymore, if you know what I mean, because I know there's always something to learn. But she said to these guys that she said basically the only thing that exists is right now. She said the future doesn't exist and the past doesn't exist. The only place it does exist is up here. Very simple, very simple. But it took me a long time to digest that and actually see it for what it is. And even day to day, I don't see it. I don't see that. Sometimes I'll be thinking, oh yeah, today I'm going to do this and that and that and that and that. Yeah. And I do this day-to-day process of being human. But when I do realize, wait, the future doesn't exist. It only exists up here. So being anxious just doesn't make sense because it's all happening up here. And then to think that, because sorry, just to backtrack a little bit, I had ADHD and dyslexia. They diagnosed me when I was young, and I thought I took that along for a long time. And then a weird day in prison, I kind of just taught myself to read and write because I was bored basically, and they took my TV. So I was like, oh, I had nothing else to do. And I found out that I loved it. Like, I loved reading books and I loved writing and stuff. And it's like, wow. It's like, wait, wow. So even to me, to think when I'm reading a word and I'm kind of stuck on the word and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm stuck, because it kind of taps you on the shoulder like, no, well, try again. Do you know what I mean? It's not dyslexia, it's not that. You're trying to bring that back in, do you know what I mean? From the past. I'm trying to bring that back into the present now when it doesn't exist. It was just something I carried from the past. But I realized it doesn't exist. It actually doesn't. It's something I say existed. And that's it. And because I said it existed, it did. Until I said it didn't. And when I said it didn't, I taught myself to read and write. And I was stunned, because I feel like a lot of teachers tried to sit me down and teach me this and teach me that, and I just weren't ready to learn. I didn't realize that I was my teacher. When I want to teach myself, I will teach myself in that present moment of time, without thinking about the past or the future. In that present moment, I just taught myself and I learned. So that just brings it back again to just the innocence of things we bring back that no longer exist because they're not here in the present right now, but we bring them forth, and they kind of, sometimes they create barriers. But it's just about being in that present moment of time, because I think in the present, I feel like we don't judge. We don't, we don't judge nothing. When you're present, you don't judge, you just accept and experience. And I feel like that's the beautiful thing, because I used to just judge a situation before I've even gone into it, or judge it because of things that happened in my past, which is it's messing up the experience, if I should say. If I should bring those things forth, messes up the experience. I don't get to experience the presence of anything if I bring forth those thoughts. It's not, obviously it sounds simple, and that's the beauty of it. It is that simple, but it's just the complications of learned behavior and age and probably public and all these other things. They get into our minds and they get in, and it's a day-to-day process. And I see it every day of ourselves, and it's actually beautiful. It's actually a beautiful thing to see, because we all operate off of these three principles, these three things that are beautifully aligned, but yet we have different views. But I really want to open it out to everyone. I want to just hear some feedback. I want to hear what you feel about just presence and innocence.
One flick.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all. I really resonated with what Omar was saying earlier, the example of like when you're talking to someone who sounds like they might be intimidating, but like traditionally, like I'd have lots of thinking around that, like I'd be analyzing everything I'm going to say and preparing and like thinking I should dress a certain way, rah, rah, rah. And then you find like when you go in that mode, everything becomes tumbled and your tongue gets really tight. And you start like analyzing everything, like, oh, does he like me? Like, am I making a good impression? Rah, rah, rah. And then it kind of goes a bit tits up. But when you go with, like, as Omar was saying, the feeling of presence, and I used to think being present meant really focused on what's going on now, like really focused on my task. And when Mama J did the reading earlier, it clicked for me that it's not really that. It's more like dropping into a space of like your innate calm, wisdom, mind, I guess it is, in 3-piece language. And when I'm in that space with that person having a conversation, or anyone, it's like nothing can scare me. And all I feel is like love inside and connection and like curiosity. And if I don't know something that they'll say, my immediate reaction would just be to go, oh, what does that mean? Whereas before I might have been like, oh, I can't admit that I don't know what that means. Whereas now I'm just like, well, we're all human. So I almost feel like we're the same energy in the conversation going back and forth. We're like an amoeba that's like joined. And there's like no intimidation. And when you come from that place, you see the other person like blossom because you're allowing them to be in that space as well. Like, I almost feel like they feel your energy it's almost like before I've got guards around me, like protecting me, and the guards are gone, and they're just like, oh, they can feel the relaxedness, and they relax too, whether that's just my perception of them or it's actually true. But that dropping into mind and presence naturally brings love and connection, and I feel like it's infectious. And it leads to such better conversations. And it reminds me of, like, I used to do a lot of business development for an agency I was running. And my best clients, or all my clients, were made by chance. And I've just clicked actually that this is true. When I met them at an event, not about work, but something random, like a random talk about neuroscience or something. And we would just be talking and geeking out. And I wouldn't have it in my head, oh, I've got to sell to this person. So I had no agenda. And then by the end of the conversation, they're like, oh, I think you do something that we want to buy. But that had never been my intent. There was no stressful thinking around it. We just connected on a human level. Whereas the conversations where I'd been like trying to buy and had lots of thinking about it, trying to sell and showcase myself, I didn't like them, and they didn't turn out as well because we weren't connecting on a human level. So I think that, like, acting from that, dropping into that space of mind, wisdom, presence, it just works. If we could, like, lie down and trust the feather bed will catch us, it just flows. So I really had a couple of pennies drop when Omar was speaking just now about that, because I think I've seen that to be true, and it's a great relief. So yeah, that's all I wanted to share. Thank you.
Well said.
I love that. I love that. Proper love that. What you said about the energy is intertwining, or you can feel, and I've been in situations like that where I can feel where everyone in the room is in that space, and our energies are we can just feel each other's energies. And yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, I love the way you said it. Yeah, Dave.
Hi everyone, happy New Year. Well, it's completely true, and that energy that we think we can feel is there all the time anyway. The only thing that stops us being able to see and experience that is our thinking, and the only thing that can scare us as well is our thinking. It's not what's going on around us, because there are plenty of scenarios, events, whatever, that we could see as being scary, and some people will be scared of them and others won't. And if it was the situation, if it was the thing that's happening, then everyone would feel it, but it's not. So the only thing that we can ever be scared of is our own thinking. So that doesn't mean to say there's anything wrong with it, but if we notice that we're frightened, then we know where that's coming from, and it then becomes less scary all of a sudden, and it then drops away. And that's really exciting to know that that's always there, and we might not notice it ourselves until it drops. And when it does, well, that's when our eyes open up a bit and we get a big smile on our face and we go, oh, there we go again. And that's a really exciting thing, not something to beat ourselves up about, but something to keep rediscovering. And the more times you rediscover it, the quicker it happens, the more regularly it happens, and the less time you spend lost. And that's quite cool, but it's nothing to beat yourself up about. It happens to us all the time. And the more caught up we are, the less we'll be able to see it, but that's okay, because we can all be there for each other. And that's quite a wonderful thing, because actually we could just put if we see someone we think is struggling, just asking them if they're okay, might be enough for them to realize that actually they are stuck in their thoughts. And that can be a bit of a game changer as well, rather than people walking on eggshells around each other. Just if you see someone you think is struggling, are you all right? And who knows where that's going to go? And it could end up being one of those beautiful conversations flip, from something that felt quite confrontational, it could completely turn on a sixpence just by being aware and showing someone that little bit of love.
I most definitely agree. And I actually don't know if it's true or not, if grounded brings grounded, right? But I had this little scenario one time when I used to live in my old house, and I like to play PlayStation a lot. So I was playing PlayStation one time and I ordered some food on the little Uber Eats. Totally forgot it was coming, playing my PlayStation. The guy, poor guy, man, he was walking up and down for a while. And as I remembered he was there, I opened my window, he was there, and he was upset. He's like, oh, brother, I've been walking up and down, your food's gonna get cold. And I was just like, oh, it's all right. It's all right. No, it's gonna get, I said, no, it's all right, it's all right. And at the end of it, all right then, I'll see you later. I said, I'll see you later. Yeah, have a good day. And I don't know what happened, but he was just here and then he went here. He was upset. I don't know. I don't even know why I said it was okay. I just wanted to get back to my game. Do you know what I mean? But it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. And automatically, because I was from that grounded place and just I didn't even think about anything. I was just like, you know what? It's all right. I've got my food. You're going to get paid. Everything's all right. I felt like automatically he was grounded. All right. And he said, have a nice day. I said, have a nice day. And the conversation switched in less than 60 seconds. Do you know what I mean? But I felt like it's because I was grounded. Now, if I was probably waiting for my food and I was in my head thinking, he's taking long, he's this, he's that, and we both met each other there with that energy, it's confrontation straight away. But with just one person grounded, I didn't feel like there was any confrontation, so I'm not sure what he felt like, but I just felt like, oh, it was just an exchange and we both said have a nice day after. And I felt good after that. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not sure if he felt good. I hope he did, but I'm not sure. And another thing that is crazy is that whether he's okay or not actually doesn't concern me. But the only way I concern myself with that is up here, if that makes sense. So even whether or not anything I'm saying is impacting anybody, it actually doesn't concern me. But of course, being human and all that, I'll just, I want to impact, I want to help, but in true essence, it actually doesn't concern me. The presence of it and me knowing that, okay, I'm in a good space and I'm feeling good while sharing that's the simplicity of it, to be honest. It kind of stops there. I feel good when I'm sharing. If I say something not often, I feel, then I know that, okay, I'm thinking a certain way and it's the indicator. But just being present and feeling good, I know that, okay, what I'm saying feels good and it feels right. It's the truth. It's my truth. And then it impacting people is another step for me because I'm like, oh, wow. Wow. It actually, somebody heard it. But I felt like if I tried to base my conversation on, let me impact these people here in front of me, exactly what I said, let me, I don't know where she's from or he's from, and let me look good, let me look wise, I feel like I'll crumble. I feel like if I tried to do that, I'll be moving further away from myself. And I feel like I don't feel good further away from myself. If I'm trying to put on a show and impress someone, I don't feel good because it's not me. Like if I win that way, then I'm going to have to keep doing that. That's not me. And so it's like being me and just being present is, I know what makes me happy and I can just continue to do that.
In a way, what you say, Wilson, it's that's what sort of got me into that trouble in the first place, where I met Mama J and the Beyond Recovery team. Wanting to put labels on things and then playing up to the label, I just stuck on it and having to play up to things and moving further away from myself. And the further away I moved from myself, I thought that was just one step away, gone. The step behind fell away, and that's it. You can't go back. Once I've stayed down this route, that's it. But then I realized that you can always, in a moment, it's like what you said about bringing the past to now, thinking that you're that same person. You're not. What you said made me laugh. I got thinking I had when I was 13 about people. And if I see him, I still got the same thinking about him. And that was from I was 13. He might have stole my lolly when I was 13. So I don't like the guy. When I see him, his hair's always rubbish or his car's rubbish. But that was, come on, that was, you understand? But we do things like that on major things and minor things. but I can just be whoever I want to be in the moment and be closer to myself the more I get present. And what you said, Flick, about the indicator for me when I know I'm fully present is when I know all the fear just drops away. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's happening, but I've got no fear about it. I've got no fear about it. And that's my indicator for being in the right place. And I've never felt like that before through any other feeling. And like what you said, Wilson, sharing, that's it. You just broke it down, sharing, and that's it. It stops there. That's for me. That is for what I get from it. Now, if somebody happens to tell me, oh, do you know what, you spoke the other day and I got this out of it, yeah, that's a bonus. And that's just a bonus for them, what they got out of it. But just to know, yeah, I know that I've done some good. But then that's it. It finishes with me sharing and feeling good. And you could call it selfish. I just call it me trying to just heal myself or make myself or get closer to myself, if that makes sense. I don't know if I waffled on a bit, but
no, it makes sense, because I personally, I tell everybody, if I'm a better me, I'm gonna be a better me for you. A better me is a better me for you. A better me is a better me for my children, my missus, anybody around me. So it's like, because I've heard, where I grew up, I've heard people say, oh, do you know what? I'll starve and feed my kids. I'll feed my kids and starve, and I don't need to eat, and certain things like that. And I say to them, okay, so if you die, who's going to feed the kids? So they're like, oh yeah, we've all got to eat. A better me is a better me to feed the kids. A better me is a better me to serve anybody. Do you know what I mean? So if you don't look after number one, it's kind of, how can you look after anybody else? It's like understanding how we create certain things and create our reality, and then understanding that in others just gives us that better advantage point to deal with somebody else that sees something as a problem, if that makes sense. Because I no longer see things as a problem. I see them as things, okay, that happens, what am I going to do next? But I still know people that they dwell in the problem, you know? This is a big problem, they dwell in it, they think about it every day, they live the problem. And most of my friends are like that still. And if I come around, they're like, oh, no preaching, no preaching, no preaching. And I just stay away from that. I don't preach anymore. But some of them see that the way I live my life, that certain things aren't a problem. I just see them as things to deal with. I got to get around that. That was my little key maker thingy, but I just get around that. So it's like, I understand how they create these problems, if you know what I mean. So I know there's not much I need to do apart from create curiosity. And once I create curiosity, they will ask me a question. Then I'll be in the space, and we'll both be in the space to share and connect as humans. But I know right now what they're seeing and how they're creating it. I know that there's no space for me to jump in there and say this 3P. And I feel like that's an advantage point, because I know how they're creating it. I know what the situation kind of looks like for them, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm waffling on a bit now. But
Peter was going to say something, I think.
Yeah, the conversation sort of keeps moving on, which is fantastic. The dichotomy is always, in my humble view, which takes priority, the head or the heart? Now, your society brought you up to use your head. You were never taught to think with your heart. And that only really comes to us based on our own lived experience. And it comes to us each in different ways, and it means something different to us all. But there's a lot of science now around the heart intelligence, and I'm kind of making this up a bit, but my understanding is that the heart has more brain cells than the brain does. But society teaches us or expects us to use this tool. But this tool just tells us what to do when we get out of bed in the morning. I mean, that's kind of all it does. It's a thinking machine, okay? But it doesn't guide you. It offers you no guidance. So it's interesting. It's fascinating to listen to you talk about what your head says. And I keep thinking and I keep thinking. Well, when I started my sort of journey 15 years ago, I was asked a question, or there was a statement and a question. Why are you thinking? Stop thinking, start feeling. Because when you start feeling, then you're tapping into the feeling organ, the heart space. And this is an innate intelligence that we were never taught to connect with as children. And if only we were taught to connect with this as children, we would know when to ignore this. So you were talking about the past informing the present, and what a waste of time that is, because normally, generally speaking, when you think of the past, it's usually with regret. Oh, I wish I had. Oh, if only that had been better. So generally speaking, that's where all the bad things lie, all the things that we associate with our lives as being bad in the past. And then when we switch to the future, we tend to set expectation of ourselves. And how could we possibly know what the future would hold? Somebody mentioned, I think it was you, Derrick, the beauty of not knowing is powerful. Because you haven't, there is no expectation. There is just this openness to allow things to be as they are. Now go and ask the horse in the field, what are you doing tomorrow? He'll say, but the grass is good here now. Was it good yesterday? I don't know. The grass is good here now. So this being present is a state of being. Now, I almost said a state of mind. It's not, it's a state of being. And you've all been, especially, so is it Omar or is it Wilson? I've heard you call both. How am I addressing you, sir?
Whatever you like.
Well, no, it's,
Whatever
it's
you like.
It's Omar, isn't it? Right. Okay, Omar, you connect, and so did you, Flick. You connected a lot with feeling, and I feel, and I feel, and I feel, and I feel. This is music. This is harmony. This is love. There's no other word for it. That space comes from the right organ. Here. Now, Flick, I'm sure you would agree. In business, you ask a businessman to meditate for 10 minutes. I actually suggested this when I worked in private sector. Why don't you get the directors around the table? Let's do a check-in. Let's just breathe. Let's ground ourselves for about 3-4 minutes and then start your meeting. Oh, well, I don't think we're ready for that, Peter. And I said, the sadness in your response is, we should be doing this. We should have been doing this for years. It's that you haven't caught up with the intelligence of the heart yet. But we're at a sort of, society is changing. People's consciousness is rising. The good news is there are more people like us coming to the surface. And I'm kind of paraphrasing here. But, so what am I really saying? I'm going to leave you with a question. What is more important to you in this current society in which we live? Your head or your heart? And how often do you get in touch with it? And how often do you get it to answer the questions you have of yourself? I'll also leave you with a statement. And Omar, you definitely covered this. You cannot have impact on any other human being. You have no power or control of that. So that notion should not reside in our beings, okay? We're on this planet merely to develop and grow ourselves. You cannot influence anyone else. So I don't need the answer, folks. I'll leave you in peace. I've spoken enough.
Thank you, Peter, man. Thank you. Well said. Well said. Well said. I think that that was very important for me, knowing that I'm not here to actually change anybody's mind. And to be honest, it's like I'm saying it like it's new, but that's exactly what Mama J did for me. She didn't come to change my mind. In fact, she didn't even care or ask what crime I did or what I was in for. She didn't care about none of that. She didn't care black, white, small, tall. She didn't care. If you wanted to come in the room, come in the room. Some people only came for coffee because they had nice coffee and they had some coffee made and they had some sugar and that, and then they had some fancy tea bags. Even
don't forget real milk.
Real milk. They had real milk. You don't really get a lot of real milk in there, so they had the real green top milk. And some people used to just come in there just for that, and they didn't even say nothing. Do you know what I mean? They was like, come, don't disturb, leave after. And some people got impacted for coming just for milk and just coming for that. But yeah, with me, she didn't care about none of that. And she the first thing she said as well was that, oh, there was nothing to write down or nothing to remember, and it was all just kind of easy. So I'm just thinking, I was curious, because I realized when you're curious, you don't judge. You actually don't judge. You don't really think much. You just want to know and absorb. That's when you're curious. You don't care about anything. Just tell me, let me know. I'll sit here for 5 hours if that's what it takes. And I felt like without doing it, she built up the curiosity within me until I was ready myself to be fully open I was fully present, let's say. I was fully present to receive anything she had to say, which then I changed my own perspective of what I see and what I saw and how I create that. So I feel like that's very important. That is very important, just to understand that you can't do anything for anybody. You can only kind of show them and they will do the rest for themselves.
I've seen it from I sort of saw a glimpse in myself, and then gave me a better understanding of other people, because I could see myself in other people in all kinds of situations. The situation would be totally different, but the emotion or the thinking or whatever's running behind it, I could see that in myself. So when you say the same thing about the bit about staying curious, before I'll be curious, but I'll have my blueprint laid down first, and then my curiosity goes over the blueprint, and whatever doesn't fit, that's what makes that story rubbish, so that doesn't fit. But with this, I just had to throw everything away and start my curiosity like from a blank page. And I think that's when I started. That's when I started to see that the only way you can stay curious is when it's from a blank page. Forget what you thought you knew, and come in fresh. And something Mama J said to me that keyed in with me when we first started was, what you're going to learn in this class, we're not telling you that you're going to stop doing what you're doing. You can probably still go on doing what you're doing, but yeah. And I thought, oh yeah, that's not, oh yeah, that what spirituality and a bit of criminality. Yeah, that's a bit of my game. I didn't know there was a position. At some point, maybe in my sleep, I was asked to take the blue pill or the red pill, and I picked the
balance there, Derek. A bit of balance there.
Yeah, but there is no duality with that one. It's either in or you're out, and yeah, it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful being there and seeing. I was saying to someone today, like, when I was in prison and how I saw myself and my life and my options and what was available to me, when I had my insight, that was my limited options. Everything else on the other side of that was available to me. So I thought I was just a drug dealer and whatever, and I've done whatever I've done, and I've done this to my family members and whatever, and that was all I could be. Like, yeah, I could make money and get a business, but that was all within that remit. But everything outside of that is now available to me, and that all of that, what I had, what was my life or what was me, I've thrown that away. I don't involve with none of that now, and I'm just working on the other side of the fence, which is everything that wasn't in that little box, and that's the field I'm running in right now. And everything's available to me. Things that I didn't think were possible for me, are available to me. What Flick said about, or Omar alluded to, speaking to people that you would have thought you'd have to be intimidated by them, or you'd have to act a certain way or talk a certain way. And I just found that being present just gets rid of all of that as well. And yeah, where I am now is just beautiful. That the space of opportunity and potential. And I've been shown that from a position where I didn't think I could be that in that position. And I got that through being myself and being present. And I'm not present in myself all the time, believe me. But yeah, for the times when I need to be, or no, the times when it's important for me, I probably am. And I probably need to be a bit more, if truth be told, because there's always something to see in every situation. I think I was arguing with the mother of my children the other day about we've got a curriculum what we do for the inmates, and her with her layman, she said, "Oh, so what happens when you finish that, and what happens when they want a level 2?" I was like, "No, we don't do level 2." She's like, "No. But what about if?" I said, "No, we don't level." She goes, "Right, listen, I've been there 4 years." I said, "What? You still talking? We don't do level 2. What's wrong with you?" And she's like, "Oh, all right, don't listen to me then. I was just saying, suppose I'm there 4 years and I've done the course and I've got another 4 years to go and I do the course and I want to do another one. What are you going to do then?" And I was just about to say, "Oh my God, this girl is not listening to what I'm..." And I said, "Hold on, you know what? She's not listening to me, which probably means I'm not listening to her. All right, stick a pin in it." And these words were on the tip of my mouth, to say, "You idiot, what's wrong?" But something just said, "No, she's not listening to me. That must mean I'm not listening to her. All right, let me hear what she's got to say." And I said, "What, say that again?" And she goes, "You're doing 4 years, you've got 4 years left, you do the course, you still got another 4 years inside. What are you going to do?" I said, "All right, we'll give you a Sid Banks book." Suppose I've read all the Sid Banks book. I said, "Oh, do you know what? You could suppose do a level 2 on a higher, deeper, conscious level." And then when all my thinking dropped, all the blueprint of what I thought it should look like dropped, what she actually said was actually a good idea. And I actually had to say to her, because I remember I already said, "Oh, you're an idiot, be quiet." But at the end of it, I've actually say, "Oh, do you know what? No, I was in my head, See what happens when you don't listen to people." And I broke it down, but I never get the praise I deserve for like listening. I got one in the neck for not listening in the first place. But at least I actually saw it, because I was just about to say, "This girl, what's wrong with her? We don't do that. That doesn't happen in this world." But then something, "You're not listening. Just listen to her." And just listening and being present showed me that there was something in what she was saying.
And we did do level 2. If you can remember. I think Larry wants to speak.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on I'll be quick. I just wanted to touch on a couple of things about grounded, what Omar was saying, and because what I'm hearing is that everyone just sounds like everyone's aware of themselves. So one of the things that I wanted to just add on was about that. Did someone say that it's simple to get there?
Yep.
By what I'm hearing, it don't sound like it was simple. It don't sound like something that happened overnight. This is something that many people have died. Many people have hanged themselves in prison cells. Many people have been through a lot, but of course, you're still here, we're still here. So it is hard. What I'm hearing, what you're saying, and that is simple. I just think that the journey I don't even know your journey, but what I'm hearing, it just sounds like it's been very hard for you to actually come to that realization of your own self and become more aware of your own self, to the point where you had to actually get incarcerated to actually understand what love is. Like, love is everywhere, but how is it that someone like ourselves had to be incarcerated just to find out what love is? Why do I love my mum even more now I'm incarcerated than when I was out? When it's Mother's Day, did I give her flowers when I was out? I didn't. So why is it now incarcerated? I want to look after mum. I want to be there for sisters. And it's that being away from my loved ones that actually, that light bulb just, like that pain, that hurt, and waking up. And with that blue pill and the red pill, that's when I realized I've always taken the red pill, because I always see it, So when I woke up in the prison system and I actually started to see what system and environment I was in, it wasn't healthy for me no more. Up until that point, everything was fun and games. What's happening, bro? You good, you good, you good. But as soon as I woke up, everything, all the fun, all the smiles, it stopped. Because then I just started seeing sadness, you know? So I tried to implement love amongst prisoners so that they feel comfortable, you know, so that they have a place to talk. Come to my cell, talk about your family, you know, talk about loved ones. And what I'm hearing about today with love and everything, I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to come into this meeting. And yeah, so we all love something, we've all lost something, and we're all afraid of something. And that's where the connection comes as humans. And that's our connection. So, yeah.
Much appreciated. I wanted to touch on the reason why I say it was simple is because I realized I always focused on trying to change. So the only reason why I started to hustle was because I was in a shit situation. Mum was broken. It kind of started with that, but it ended up being a total different thing. But I started with, I'm trying to help, I'm trying to do, and I've always tried to do that. I've always tried to fix my problems, which led me to prison. And it's like, I realized with Beyond Recovery, they never tried to fix any problems. They didn't try to fix any problems. We spoke and we communicated, and they pointed me to a direction which I looked, which I realized at any point in moment of life, I could have looked. It was inside all the time. I could have looked there. That's why I say it was simple, because I chose to, I say it that we all are our worst enemies. That's it. There's no worse enemy than ourselves, two with ourselves. So I always done that with myself, trying to fix it, not realizing that it was just looking inside. And after that, I kind of fixed the problems myself. So I'll give you a little story. It kind of reminds me of this little story, right, where it's the wheelbarrow story. I've told it a lot of times, but I like telling it. So there was a guy at work, right? And at the end of the day, he had a box and he saw some sawdust and he put it in the box. And he said, yeah, I can use that. I can use that for my house. So he put the box in a wheelbarrow and he's wheeling the wheelbarrow out. And the security guard says, wait, what's in that box? The guy says, it's sawdust. He says, I don't believe you. Let me see in the box. So he opens the box and he shows him it's sawdust. And he says, all right, then lets him go. So the guy continues to do, he does this the next day, the next day, the next day. The last day, the guy says, wait, what's in the box? And he says, I got sawdust in the box. And he says, I got a funny suspicion you're stealing something. He says, I ain't stealing that, it's just sawdust in the box. And he goes, all right then, if you're stealing something, tell me, and I promise I won't tell nobody. And the guy said, you promise? He said, I promise. He said, all right, then I'm stealing wheelbarrows. And it blew the socks off the guy because he was focused on the box the whole time. Just the box, not realizing the guy's walking out every night with a wheelbarrow. And that explains my life. I was always focused on the box, on the box. People's escaping with my wheelbarrows. Until I focused on the wheelbarrow, then I got the proper picture. Do you know what I mean? That's why I say it's simple, because it's right in front of you. It's right in front of you. But because you're not focused on, you're focused on the box in the wheelbarrow, you don't see the whole picture. That's the only reason why I say it's simple, because Mama J pointed me over there. I looked and I saw the whole picture. She didn't give it to me. Nobody gave me anything. I saw the whole picture for myself and then realized I could have seen this from young. But obviously I was my worst enemy. So that's the only reason why I say it's simple. But you're damn right. Oh, it's been hard for me because I'm my worst enemy. I make it 10 times harder for myself. But it's in that same way I am my guidance. I make it 10 times better for myself after that. Do you know what I mean? That's why I say it's simple, but I appreciate
Still
it.
hard.
So
otherwise everybody will be doing it.
Yeah. So how about this, Larry? The reason why it's hard is because we have the power of thought, and we don't know we have this power. Like we just like, we feel like we're victim of thought, and so thought happens and we don't know that we're creating it, and so we're following it. but we're creating what we're following. We're completely unaware of that, like a goldfish in water. The goldfish doesn't know it's in water. So here we are creating thought, because that's what our heads do. It takes the power of thought, it takes that energy that comes into our mind and creates thought that looks like reality, and then we live it. So we have thoughts like, I'll make it personal, like I'm not good enough. You know, that I'm not good enough, I'm too stupid, I'm too ugly, I'm too whatever, too whatever. And that's a thought that I had for a really long time, and I believed it. I didn't know that I created that thought, that some circumstances happened and made me look that way, made me look in that direction, and then lived in it as if it was real. It felt like it was real to me, because I was unaware that I was the creator of that thought. And so when that used to come up for me, I've attempted suicide. You mentioned suicide. I've attempted suicide on several occasions. I've had lots of trauma in my life. And the reason why I attempted suicide is to get away from that thought, to get away from the pain of that thought of I'm not good enough. And I didn't know, as Wilson's talking about, I didn't know it was as simple as being able to see, oh, I'm the one who's creating that. And in a different direction, when I look in a different direction, I can create something else. I didn't know that was even possible. So it is simple and it's complicated. So you are right, you hit the nail on the head, because before you have the understanding of yourself as a creature that can create the power of thought, that can use the power of thought to create reality, as a creature that has this expanding and contraction of consciousness, until you realize that, you're buffeted by whatever's going on in your own head, and you think that's reality. And it's only when you start to, and there's moments, like we all know, people don't have to, we talk about a specific understanding, but people don't have to know that specific understanding. We've all felt in our heart, as Peter talks about it, or, you know, we talk about it in different ways. We've all felt moments of pure love or pure awareness or pure insight. We've all had those moments of wisdom. No, I better not do that. Or I know I need to do this. And then we followed it or we haven't followed it. And the only difference, the simplicity, is listening to that, knowing that that is actually the driver, and that the thoughts that we create is the toolbox. That's the sawdust. The driver, the wheelbarrow, is this innate deep wisdom that every single creature has, living creature has within them. But we're not taught that, you know, like Peter talked at the beginning, how we're just not taught that. We're taught to rely on the intellect. We're taught to look outside ourselves. We're taught that if you have these things, you'll be a better person or a better lover or a, you know, richer person or whatever. So we're constantly looking to feel better, to feel good, to love. No one tapped us on the shoulder and said, you've already got all that. It's within you. It's within your own consciousness. No one told us that. And so we didn't look there very much. And what I hear when I hear Wilson saying it's simple is that as soon as you know that, it's simple. Because that's when you go, hang on a minute. You know, I mentioned earlier that I was awake at 2 a.m. I was fretting about some stuff. Now, I couldn't stop myself from waking up and fretting, because I'm just using the power of thought there to haunt myself, to make myself worried. But what I've learned is to be able to go, okay, what do I need to know here? What lesson am I missing here? You know, there's something that I could be doing here that I can help myself. What is it? Instead of trying to beat myself up because I'm not sleeping or because I'm fretting about something. But when I didn't know that I could look there into the unknown, into a level of consciousness that I'm not feeling at that moment, when I didn't know about that, that's when I would get tied up in that. And the people that we work with, you know, get tied up in that, feel desperate, feel like the only way out is to hurt others or hurt themselves or whatever, because that looks like that only option. It's the sawdust. But as soon as you look away from the sawdust, you see, oh, there's a wheelbarrow and there's a this and there's a that. Does that make more sense to you? Is that helpful?
I mean, yeah, it does make sense. Even I understood exactly what Omar meant, and when you broke it down, I understand exactly what you meant. It's still not simple. You know, you have to go through real life's. This is why I said some people end up dying before they even get to realize about the power of the mind, the power of yourself, because really and truly, we are the creators, and it does come from ourselves. I mean, it's until that point where you've actually reached rock bottom and you're still climbing and you're gonna drop again, and then you find it, whether it comes from somebody else, whether it's a mom or someone that gives you that, whether it's in a visit and gives you that extra little, wisdom that you need for your journey to, I get it. And it's not easy, but I definitely get it. Believe me, 100,000,000%, I get it. And it's just, when you reach that point, then that light bulb comes and it's like, how come I didn't know that? Why now? But if I didn't go through all these hurdles, all these challenges, all these obstacles, then it would have just been simple. And at the same time, I don't want it to be easy. I like how I've had to go through everything I've had to go through in order to learn it. So it wasn't overnight. I've read hundreds and thousands of books. I've won competitions. So it's come from getting kicked out of school, being Christmases with family, having loved ones, then being away from everyone with nothing, with one pot noodle in your cell to split in half, to eat half today and half tomorrow, because being embarrassed of not saying to your mom, can you send me some money? I ain't got nothing. You know, so all of this development wasn't overnight, and it definitely wasn't simple. And thank God and thank the universe that.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know what, Larry? I'll say, for me, I hear what you're saying. It's like, you know what it is? The journey is not easy. The journey, because for me to reach, like I've always said this, for me to be here speaking how I'm speaking now, I've had to go through some shit that's put me in this, that's put me here now. And it's all part of my experience, what's made me see what I've seen. And if I never go through half of them experiences, I wouldn't be here. I'll be here sterile, talking about it, talking sterile stuff. But what I've seen, what I've been through, helped me to see what I've seen. But and it's like what you said, it's that age-old thing. Any question is easy once you know the answer. Once you see it, you know the answer, and it looks easy. But the actual journey is never easy. But once you see it, to actually see it is easy. But the journey that we've all taken, and I'm not talking about prison, I'm talking about everybody's got their own things in life. Look at Mama J. Mama J touches my heart every time she even touches on her story. So we've all got our own little things, and never easy. But the answer, the journey is hard. But the answer, like I said, once you know the answer, it always appears easy.
Nice. It's so nice to have you here. Yes, Christopher Wren.
Hello. Thank you very much, Desolza. That you made me remember my friends that no longer here. I've lost a lot of friends. And some of them might not even get the chance to even see my little boy. And growing up, where it goes back to that present. But I remember the times when I was present, it's the times when I was having fun growing up. And that's when I remember my friends. And they're not here today. Because we chose not to listen, or we chose to just see what we called our environment, but not realizing our true potential, that our parents or even our friends along the way that probably said something that you chose not to listen to. Or even probably a teacher that said something that saw your inabilities, but you was too ragged and rough and thought the streets were better than what you did. And I lost a lot of them. Like they and you got the same similar name to one of my friends that did that, Rashidi De Souza. De Souza, sorry. Laser from Ilford, and he didn't die through gun violence, but he died through normal health problems, and that's what we're fighting through right now, COVID. And I really didn't want to be, because I knew that I was going to get emotional, but I had to be, because every time I'm here, I'm present. When I'm not around people that genuine love, I'm never present. I'm never present. I think I am, but I'm not present. And I can say, yes, it has not been easy, but I understand when Omar does say it's easy, because we didn't know better apart from what, like, I grew up in a single parent home, so my mum was the mum and the father, but she always saw the innocent and the beauty in me, but I chose the road. Even in class, like how Omar said this, when the times when I was present and the times when I'd enjoyed being in the class. And then when I wasn't present, yeah, I get kicked out doing this, doing that. But it's because we're running up in my thoughts. I couldn't say it for anything else. But when I have been present, I have felt someone, I've spoke to someone, so we spoke to each other, we've seen each other. And we understand the same journey. Like I had a weird incident a couple of weeks ago, and I think it's Philippe, say I'm not pronouncing your name properly, but I heard something when you said, well, my terminology of it when you spoke was equal, because my girlfriend's white, and her father said something racial at that, so not even racial, was banter, but because I made them feel comfortable around me. So I didn't see no judgment, but I made him feel comfortable for him to even have a banter of that thought, if you get what I'm trying to say. Because if he never felt comfortable, I don't think he would have said it. But because I made him feel comfortable, it was banter to him. But to someone else, I could have took it the wrong way, but I saw the innocence in that because I actually made him feel comfortable. I'm not around there and just being misbehaving. No, when I come to his house, I speak to him, we sit down and we talk. So I made him feel comfortable to have that little banter. But at the time, I didn't expect him to say something out of tone, but he said it because I knew I put him in that comfort zone. And once again, equal. We're both grounded. And some of us forget that we're not equals, but we are equals. You don't see any color. Because when you look at the rainbow, we're the only missing colors that are there. So we are part of that rainbow. And yeah, leave it there, man. Thank you very much. You helped me open up. Like I said, I didn't want to talk, but when you spoke about losing friends and they're not here today, and I would love them to see you.
That's nice, Chris. Really nice way to honour your friends.
Love that.
Yeah. And I love to end this thinking that we're all the rainbow. I've really enjoyed this evening, guys. It's been really fresh.
Fresh.
Really fresh. So thank you so much to everybody. Have a take a moment, if you will, just take a moment right now to just remember this evening together and take away that feeling of being connected, and that despite our different stories and our different journeys, and whether it's hard or simple, whether the people are here with us or not, that we are all part of that rainbow. We are all part of the essence of life. And we shared a little bit of love here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Cupid. Bye, Rob. Bye, Dave.
I know the doctor.
Bye, Peter.
Bye, mechanical.
I know.
Nice to meet